Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am McAlphany. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I would greatly appreciate that. And if you could, please click that like button, turn it into a rocket, and send it to the moon. Now, one thing I want to talk briefly about this because I don't think we delve deeply into this enough. And I saw something recently. I was doing a little bit of detective work and digging through the tokenization aspect of Visa. I'm not sure what led me to this particular thought process, but there was something I came across that reminded me of the staking that the Bank of International Settlements was talking about. Remember in that PDF, they were saying one of the possible models that they could use to add to liquidity was to have holders of these particular cryptocurrency rails that they will be leveraging as the Bank of International Settlements, which is a supervisory body, and all of the banks that they supervise utilizing these particular protocol. One way to add to the liquidity would be to have everyone stake their assets, stake their coins. Now, when it comes to staking, what does staking do? Okay, so it locks in the crypto, okay, and also it makes the coins more rare because they're locked in, they're not flowing, right? Which makes the price go up, the value go up, the rarity of them increases. The available amount of those coins decreases, and so the value increases. They become more rare, right? So imagine how many coins, and I said this before, the banks could buy all of them. All of the ones that you don't hold and I don't hold, they could buy everything. They have enough money to do it easily. And just imagine all of the banks, until, of course, they have to use these, they'll have an allotment to be used for their transactions. But this is also a measure of control. If everyone is staking, and they only have this particular allotment, which was, I would believe, to be smaller than what is the entirety of the body of coins that are the circulating supply, they will have that flowing back and forth. That would set everything. First of all, the coins would be super rare. So let's take that into account. Then on top of that, it would be a high transaction volume. We're talking about banks, so let's take that into account. Then also, we would have a high transaction value. Take that into account. What does it do to that price? Do you just hear what we said? Do you hear what we're talking about? What does it do to that price? Raise the toe. That price will raise if any staking is done. Now, that's just taking into account if the banks utilize that particular model of staking. But they put that out there in the PDF, so it is a consideration of theirs, which means that we definitely take it serious, and we must consider that. I would definitely stake my coins. Easy. With the banks, staking my coins with the banks, and watching that price go through the roof, just crush, just boom, just rip your roof off your house. Sounds pretty good, right? Sounds crazy, right? But that price will go through the roof. Now, let's take into account, we have Visa leveraging XLM. We have Tala leveraging XLM and bringing them to Visa. Visa is also utilizing, I believe Visa is utilizing HBAR in some capacity as well. HBAR and Stellar seem to work together a lot. And I believe they have a connection with HBAR through FIS. FIS has, you know how many banks FIS is bringing to Visa and how many banks FIS itself is working with. That's a lot of banks. Okay. Then we have IBM leveraging XLM and HBAR again. Once again, HBAR and XLM again together again. So we have IBM bringing banks to the table. And so now, but let's take into account that HBAR either is capable of staking. I don't know if they're doing staking just yet, but I read a couple of articles where they were developing staking, the ability to have HBAR staked. So you have HBAR possibly being staked. You have XLM, you definitely can stake, but I think they're going to develop some more staking options. I think you could, the staking option I believe is through Interstellar, which then you convert your XLM into YXLM and then you can stake it that way. But I think something more will be done with staking. So now we have XRP also. I believe through some sort of mechanism you can stake XRP, right? So you have all of these protocols are possible to be staked by the central banks and by all of their banks that are under their supervision and the commercial banks as well. So what I'm getting to with all of that, right, is if we're looking at with Visa, IBM, FIS, and all of the different large business institutions, how they're using blockchain, what makes us think that they're not also going to utilize these particular staking options? The more liquidity there is in the markets, the easier it is for those payments to move smooth, no delay. Everything's going according to plan as far as they're making a lot of capital, they're saving a lot of capital. They want as much liquidity as possible. It's going to take a lot of liquidity to replace the old legacy system and Nostro Vostro accounts, things like that. So what we're looking at, and I think I floated this idea before, what we're looking at is the largest, let's think of it all as one liquidity pool. I know Ripple is a private company, for profit, and they want to be looked at as separate. Interoperability kills all of that. I was just on Ripple.com, and they're preaching all about interoperability, especially with their liquidity hub. Go read their liquidity hub page, and interoperability is interspersed throughout a myriad of their paragraphs. Interoperability kills all of that. So let's look at everything as one interoperable giant liquidity pool. So what we will be looking at, if they allow staking, right? Of course, there's going to be collateralized coins in there as well. But what we're looking at with all of these developments is the largest liquidity pool mankind has ever known. This is what it seems they're putting together, at least one aspect of what they're putting together. What does that mean for you and I? That means that the potentiality, there's no guarantees, because I love these people that come into the comment section and they're like, there's no guarantees, these are stable coins, isn't it? Listen, I can't tell you what to think, and I'm not here to tell you to buy or sell. I'm just a researcher, and that is not what I do. So what you do and what retail does means nothing to the banking coins and holders of the banking coins. That's all I can say. But what it does for you and I, holders of those particular coins, is create the potentiality of those prices being much higher than I believe what we're estimating. When we do conservative estimates, I think that price is going way higher. If everything goes according to plan, and if they utilize these particular pathways like staking. Can you imagine how many coins the banks would stake? Commercial banks, right? How much? Because they want to save the money. Transaction fees, cutting out intermediaries. They've hated intermediaries for the longest time. They've been losing money to these intermediaries. They want to cut them out so badly. So they're going to create liquidity pools that allows them to forever be detached from those particular intermediaries. Okay, this is one of the reasons they would do that. They need that liquidity, that on-demand liquidity, or instant liquidity, as Stellar puts it. So you have staking, you have collateralized coins and such like that. We'll see how those do. That price would raise significantly. That's why this is important. So now I'm looking at B2B. I think the large business institutions would get in on it, which is what I was trying to iterate before. I think the large business institutions would get in on it. 100%. Visa, FIS, all of these different giant businesses, IBM. And I saw something with Microsoft. I can't remember where I saw it. I see it. I do so much research. It's like everything's jumbled inside my mind. I have so many tabs open. I shouldn't have it like that. I need to clean that up just a little bit. But I saw something with Microsoft and Stellar. Now, I don't know if I saw accurately, but anyway, I know Microsoft is utilizing some particular blockchain. But let's say Microsoft leverages some of the crypto banking coin rails. And they, and of course, I believe they would get into the banking aspect and trying to provide certain either security or cross-border payment services as such, similar to what IBM does. That's what I would estimate they're doing, which would mean that they also, as a large company, could offer staking, okay? Could get in on that staking. All of this money being staked, what does it do to the value of those particular coins? Think about that just for a moment. I just wanted to float this idea. And then on top of that, keep in mind, a lot of, we have to consider how things are going to go in the future. How does it work when you have collateralization, right? Let's say you tokenize land. Okay, so now you have your land tokenized. How does that work? You stake that, right? The value of it, right? You stake that? I don't know. Like, it's just, My mind is going to new places. Let's play with this a little bit. You're tokenizing music. The value of the music. How much is that worth? Do you stake that? How many people stake that? So they can continue to get rewards, right? Continue to make money on that. All of these things are going to be tokenized, right? Stocks. You tokenize stocks. Has a worth to it, right? How much is that worth? Are you able to stake that tokenization, that token? So you have the world's value moving into tokenization, and those are quadrillions of dollars, multi-quadrillions of dollars, right? Flowing through, whether it's blockchain, whether it's going to be hash graph in the future or some quantum element, governing certain blocks in certain hash graph elements, who knows? But if you have all of this value, keep that in mind, value. Look at value, not just how much currency is floating around, value. You have these quadrillions of value floating through these particular protocol, whichever ones they're going to be. I hold all the banking coins, and I have a few collateralized coins as well, like AMP. So you have all this value floating through these particular coins. What does it do to the value of those coins? Everything's going to be tokenized. It's already happening. They're already tokenizing stocks. Just in case there's people out there that don't believe that everything's going to be tokenized, it's already happening. I know there's a lot of new people to crypto. Land and real estate is already being tokenized. Stocks, they're working on that being tokenized. I believe there's a service that's already tokenizing stocks. Music is being tokenized. We just saw Algorand do a deal with someone, with a company that's tokenizing music licenses. I mean, everything is going to be tokenized. NFT, so artwork is being tokenized. Value, of course, you have store value coins. All of this stuff is moving through these protocol, or will be. Let me say it like that. It will be. What does it do to that price? Think about that for a moment. We are in so early. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's just a matter of patience now. Only a few of us are going to make it to those high numbers. Only a few of us are going to make it to those high numbers. Perfectly fine with me. I tend to just worry about myself. I do enjoy sharing research. Research makes me happy. It does. I have fun doing research and discovering something. Feels like I conquered a mountain. But only a few of us are going to make it to the end of the road to see those giant gains, because we're going to have a couple of parabolic spikes. In my humble opinion, we're going to have a couple of parabolic spikes, and people are going to sell at that price, not understanding that it could go much higher because they're not looking at all of the different aspects, right? They're not looking at high transaction volume. What is a high transaction volume? What is the volume at the price you want to sell versus the volume of, let's say, the Fed? The yearly volume of the Fed, the monthly volume of the Fed. Do you even know? What's the yearly volume, transaction volume of the average central bank? Do you know that? What's the yearly average transaction value, or what is the average transaction value daily of the average central bank? Then extrapolate that to commercial banks. Do you know that? So then, are you using that to set your price targets? You have to know that, or else you're going to miss out. This is all about mathematics. This is all about calculation. Too many people are guessing, in my humble opinion. I'm not guessing whatsoever at all. I'm taking a look at the data. I'm going to inspect, and I'm going to wait and see. But every step of the way, I'm making calculations. I'm taking into account all the data that I can. So yes, most people are going to sell at a very early, very, very low price for some of these protocol. And I get it. I understand that. There's no blame to be placed on you. I'm just saying only a few people are going to make it to those high numbers. It's going to take a lot of courage, a lot of fire in your belly, a lot of hunger for more. When everyone else is shaking and they sold, and they're going to make a good amount too when they sell. That's another thing I want to say. When you have those first parabolic spikes, people are going to make some very good money. A lot of people are actually, they've been holding for a while, and they missed out on that last opportunity to become millionaires with the banking coins when they bought super duper duper low and they bought a ton of coins. They sold just a little bit. They didn't sell a lot or enough to fully be as rich as they want to be. They're going to sell. They're going to sell so they don't miss the next boat. They're going to sell early, which is completely fine. They're going to be very, very rich. But those people who want generational wealth, they're going to hold a little longer. It's going to take everything in their spirit. They're going to be tested. And those people who sell are going to pressure you. They're going to say, look, I'm rich. I'm riding around in my Lamborghinis and look at my mansion. And, you know, and you're going to say to yourself, man, maybe I should sell, because the price is still going to be there, right? It might even go up just a little bit more. And you're like, man, I don't want to miss out. And a lot of people are going to sell then too. They are. And I wouldn't blame them. They're going to be very rich, very rich. Only a few are going to make it to generational wealth. Oh, that's still far beyond the horizon, even beyond where those people got rich. It's going to be beyond the horizon. I'm telling you, look at the transaction volumes. Follow the data. Keep an eye on those transaction volumes. How much volume is flowing through that blockchain that's making you rich right now? And is it matching what it's supposed to match when it's being fully utilized by the banks, commercial, central? Do the math. Do the math and you'll know how much more is to come. If your protocol is being utilized as a CBDC, has it lived up to the transaction volume and value that it should if it's being utilized? How much is it being utilized per day? This is data that's yet to come out, but this is data that we have to collect at a certain point. This is important. You don't have to wait on other people to tell you. Like, sell at this price. That is dangerous in my opinion. Buy at this price. Dangerous. That's dangerous for me, my humble opinion. As an Ahab investor hunting the white whale, I'm not leaving my fate in the hands of anyone. Not going to happen. I'm going to leave my fate in my own hands and do a whole lot of mathematics. You need to have this in mind. Have this in mind. Where are the corridors? How much money is moving through those corridors? Who do they have deals with? How much money can we possibly bring in totality? How much money can we bring in incrementally? So let's say there's regulatory clarity. For instance, let's say there's regulatory clarity and business institutions are in a rush to utilize these protocols first. And of course, they're going to be able to do it first because they have a lot of private aspects to them. Like they can hire people, right? Hire brilliant minds to upgrade their infrastructures much faster than the banks will, because the banks are going to go for absolute perfection. They have to. There is a lot of liability there with the central banks and commercial banks. So they're going to take a little longer, like they said, 3 to 5 years or something like that, they said. I believe that timeline, and that might be a little bit conservative in my humble opinion. Businesses may not want to move that slow because they're suffering much more. There's no guarantees with them. They can go out of business. So keeping that in mind, they may be in a rush to utilize the protocol much faster. And so now you're seeing this surge and this parabolic spike from the businesses, large business institutions, as well as the small. I think the small will be first. And you're going to see this little spike. In my opinion, it's going to be a little spike. With other people, it's not going to be little. I'm saying it's going to be little in my opinion, because I believe I know how high it's going to go. And it's pretty significant. But they're going to see this parabolic run. Let me just put it that way. Keep it agnostic, right? They're going to see this parabolic run from the small business institutions and some of the large business institutions and think that's it. And they're going to sell. Only to later on have it go even higher when the commercial banks get in. And I'm going to think the commercial banks are going to move first before the central banks. Why do I say that? As I stated before, the central banks are supervisory bodies. I take, for example, again, the European Central Bank. I gave you the PDF. They supervise a lot of banks, a lot of commercial banks, right? Okay, so they're going to have a lot of power to say, let's just take one protocol. Of course, it's going to be a CBDC, so they're going to be congealed, but let's just take one protocol to keep the logic simple. They take, let's say European Union goes with XLM Stellar as their digital euro and their CBDC, whatever, right? They're going to come to the Bank of England and say, hey, listen, this is what we want to use. I'm just throwing names out there just for an example, okay? We want you to use this CBDC based on Stellar. The commercial banks in England are going to say, wait, we don't want to use Stellar. We already built a CBDC on HBAR. It's interoperable. So can't we use HBAR, or can we congeal it into a CBDC, MBDC with Stellar? That way, at least we're using a portion of it we're used to, a portion of it we understand, we have experience with it, and we'll meet you in the middle. Let's congeal these two together in an MCBDC. European Central Bank, being logical, is going to say, yeah, no problem. That's what MCBDCs are and why we created them. Let's do that. Okay, so they're going to be in a rush, so they have some choice. This is about power, control. Also, there's an aspect of that to this. So they don't want to be told what to do. So they're going to be in a rush. Whether they succeed or not, that's yet to be seen. But they're going to be in a rush. They already are. Look at the panic. Look how they're trying to rush out these CBDCs right now. Look how they're rushing testing. This happened in the rest of the world, not in the United States, of course. We got a whole lot of stuff going on there. But they want to have the choice. So they're going to rush and try to get these things done. So that's why I believe the commercial banks could be right after the businesses. They're the next ones who are going to be in a rush to put out their CBDCs or their digital currencies. Okay. Then comes the central banks, and the wave that's going to come with the central banks is going to be unbelievable, because it has to be. They're going to make everyone use CBDCs. Mark my words, there is no one who's going to go against it. The advertising is going to be insane. They will convince you CBDCs are the savior of the world because look how much money it saves. Now we can take that money and look how green they are. We're saving the planet. They already have begun that line of thinking. If you go on the IMF's Twitter, if you go on the Bank of International Settlements Twitter, European Central Bank's Twitter, and World Bank's Twitter, they're all pushing the green initiative. I don't believe it's because they care about the world, but they do care about their image. What they're saying to you is, look, we're saving everything. We're saving everybody. See, it's green. We need more green technologies. We're heroes, aren't we? Don't you love us because we're heroes? So then listen to us and use our CBDCs, which is great for you and I because it's going to make that price raise a toe. It's going to make that price raise. But they're already rolling out that imagery. And people will not be able to deny it. They won't be able to say it's bad because it's green. It's saving the planet. All the other money bad. All the old archaic system is bad. We can allocate this money to other things. Look, our crypto that we're using also is saving trees. Algorand. We're using Algorand for our CBDC. It's a carbon negative. And look, they're working with this company to save the trees. Look how that works. It has already begun. No one will be able to deny these CBDCs. When the central banks are ready to move, they're going to move meticulously and with perfection. And the money is going to come like a wave, like a tsunami of money. This is why a lot of my videos were accurately titled Money Wave. This is not a joke. This is with the utmost seriousness. Now that they're jumping straight to MBDCs and MCBDCs, I mean, until they move to another technology in the future, which I believe would just be layered together or congealed with them, there will never be another money flood like this, ever, ever. Because there is no other one where banks were involved, commercial, central. Everybody's going to get in on this. Only a tiny bit of the retail space is going to get in on this because they don't believe, they don't know. This is a lot of research to have done to be in the know. You are in a special club here, being in the banking coins. And it doesn't matter. We're all on the same team. We're all going to get filthy. In my humble opinion, it's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. But we are all, in my humble opinion, it's no guarantees, going to get filthy, filthy rich. Like if everything goes according to plan, raise a toe. Man, think about everything I just said. We are in so early. Look at what happened with the internet boom, the .com boom. They didn't have central banks money involved in that. They didn't. And they got filthy rich. Look at what happened with Bitcoin when it took off. It didn't have central bank money involved or commercial bank money involved. We are talking about the first time ever the central banks have to make a move. The commercial banks have to make a move. And everybody wants a piece of it. Don't you see that? Visa wants a piece of it. FIS wants a piece of it. Google wants a piece of it. IBM wants a piece of it. Microsoft wants a piece of it. All of them want a piece. I don't consider myself retail whatsoever. I don't. I'm an AHAB investor. I think a lot of you are AHAB investors too. You're hunting the white whale. A lot of retail does not see that all of these large institutions and banks want a piece of this and that there's a reason for it. They have very brilliant minds investigating every day and doing research every single day. This is what they get paid to do. And they come to them with data sheets and research papers and say, listen, this is a viable means to expand or increase on our capital exponentially. We need to get involved in this, take it over. Whether it's decentralized or not, they're going to take it over. It's over. They are. They will buy all the coins, all the liquidity on decentralized exchanges, unless people disconnect the different aspects of decentralization, sort of like what HBAR did. That's why I said, that's what the Bank of International Settlements was trying to tell people. Hey, you better disconnect your governing bodies and the power from some of your DEXs. Not all DEXs are the same. The way HBAR did it, perfect. Perfect. With their governing council, perfect. Because while they have the backing of it, there is no one party that controls everything when it comes to HBAR. Sufficiently decentralized. Just go on their website and you can read that. But this is a wonderful time to be alive. It's the most wonderful time of the year. And things are looking very, very good. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? Thank you all for being here. I greatly appreciate you. Thank you for sending me information. Thank you for commenting to me. It makes me real excited and happy anytime I get to interact with you guys on the community tab. Make sure you're checking that community tab, especially if you have a membership. Oh, if you have a membership, please click like on those posts on the community tab that are for members only. That's the only way I know if you actually saw it or not. I see a lot of people starting to do that. That's really good. I appreciate that because it lets me know that you saw this article or you saw this particular posting, okay? But anybody can go to the community tab. I enjoy interacting with you there, and some of you are posting some great information, and some of you are helping each other out. You're answering questions, and that is great. As a community, a rising tide raises all ships. We're all on the same team, okay? So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, let's get to the money.